Hello, ladies and gentlemen, augmented and unaugmented, whatever you call yourselves these days. You know what? Everybody's still all abuzz about September 23. We want to put that to rest, all right? We're going to have a little bit of fun because this is going to be a part of that code game. And for you guys that are new and haven't been here before and you're just catching on to the hype here, my name is Rick Worth. I'm an artist down in Key West that has dyslexia to such a degree that I can see things appearing in the same place in the same time. Makes it easier to find this code that you can find in our Bibles. It helps to reveal a certain cadence, and a cadence in a drum beat, how something is written and there's a cadence and boom, 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 and it all comes out. It's very mechanical, all right? Which means it's contrived. It means you're not really talking off the top of your head like I'm doing most of the time. But, there's a number system out there, and the number systems go from 1 through 9, basically. And of course, from number 10 starts all over again with number 1. And then, of course, it just keeps flipping around and around. And the sequence of events is what really tells the story. Because, the beginning, number 1, is to introduce, and of course we know whenever we're building a paragraph or something like that, and believe me, I'm not the best guy when it comes down to English and having good grades in those particular courses in school. But, generally you set everything up in the first paragraph and then you go about to tell your story. And so, number 1 is actually about God himself. This is the creation, or it's introducing the story, the format, this is what we're going to be talking about. And it's the initial thing. And sometimes you even just get that in the beginning. And then you'll get this number 2, which becomes 2 things that are joined together. There's just this introduction of just 1 and 2, and it's usually God's creation in some kind of a duality, which means you have the physical side of you and a spiritual side of you, which is our image of God, which was number 1. So you would see that number 2 is his creation, would be his likeness, but we're number 2. Number 3 is that chance that you get a chance to join with this creator, creating 1. That's the 3 in 1. 1, 2, and 3. So 3, when they say the idea is that if you can get all of you together in one place, then you're 1. It's 3 in 1. That's the idea of worshiping one God. 4 is what it takes to get there. 4 is one of those situations we call it's the worlds. It's measured in our minds and the way we're thinking about it in the north, east, south, west direction. This comes where the horses, where the red and the yellow are the red horse. Red is the north, is our emotions. All right. To the left is our intellect, which is black horse, and to the right, which is the east, is the white horse. And to our lower side is the pale horse, which is our physical nature. So it balances out pretty equally. That's the number 4. And those are things that we are looking at as like when we're trying to get even. We want to be in harmony, where all of those are coming together at the same time. And of course, whenever we find that in symbolism in the Bible, it usually means going from like brass through the moon, which is silver, and then turning into gold. Ow! Skaters. It's alright, I got one of these. Got this. Let's see if something's down there. I shot myself with this. It don't feel all that great, but I think we're good. But, yeah, I don't think anything's there just yet. Alright, so that's number 4. 5 is about our skin. 5 is the sacrifice. 5 is the brethren. 5 is, It's the 1, 2, 3, 4 in the body, the field. This is the way it is. It's 5. It's what is below. All right. This is considered the skin. Is sacrificed. It gets burnt. You know, it's lots of. It's the body. 5. 5. Let's see how that works out whenever we read these things, because Revelation 12 goes very fast. I just want to show you that by number system. Let's see, we have the number 6 is the line. 6 usually says even. Something we got even. Something happens. We're right at the top of our works, the ends of after we've done whatever it's taken to get to this particular part of the thing. We've gotten to this top part of the ladder. That's what 6 is. 6 is after works, after efforts. And now we're gathered together to embark on this, whatever happens from this particular point. This is 6. This is when you come to the window, come to this little room, this little box or cave. This is what happens. And then the next part of this here is that you're going to then let's see, you're going into 8 or 7. 7 is the is the fight. 7 is the brimstone, you know, and this is what we're taking you on. We're going to clean you up. We're going to fix you up, you know. This is usually when you meet God or something like that, but this is the battle going on. And then like with 8 would be like after the battle. We've won. It's time to celebrate. It's mine, you know. It's the new you coming to life. And the new you actually becomes this 9, which is the now I'm in charge. This lower mind and everything is now mine. It no longer runs on its own. It's no longer a part of the animal kingdom. It's now part of God's kingdom. And He now and you run things through the higher mind. So that's the basics behind the number system. That's also the days of creations, believe it or not. And that you will see that it can be reflected in the code of this particular prophecy, you know, and I use that word loosely, all right? Because what they're describing is the first thing they described a long time ago. I mean, in the beginning of the book, when devil was cast out of heaven and he took the third with him. The third is part of your body. That's you know. It's not destroying anything, you know. It's just that if you were to follow him, if you're going to follow the fallen angels, which is really just the idea of adorning yourself to the lower nature, which is taking on a wife instead of, you know, a mother, you know, and oh, we got to get the skeeter. I was doing real good earlier. They must be able to get around me now. They can hear it. They can hear this thing when it starts to power up. It's great when the hunter becomes the hunter. No, the hunted becomes the hunter. It's a little funner that way. All right, so here real quick, you know, because I don't know, I heard today that this time that I'm spending on here could cost me a fortune. But I don't know what a fortune is, and we'll see what we can do. Right off the bat, it's chapter 12, all right? That's a combination of me and God, or you and God, whoever is actually doing this, because this is a constellation in the sky. 12, basically what it happens is they think that this is the birth of the Antichrist. They think that this is actually the birth of Christ itself, but this has nothing to do with this and the 3 wise men and stuff like that. This is a total different constellation mess-up, mixed. In Revelation is about the coming together of you. This is you coming into one with yourself. That's what Revelation is. An eye-opening event that means, like, wow, you know, you get that little Hopi feather. You get, wow, you ride in on the white horse. You know, wow, you know, and it took all of this to be able to get to this particular point. So Revelation's at the end of the book. And so, you know, you'll see that, you know, Jesus is the beginning and he's the end of this here, but he's actually the middle, you know, because he's the Kundalini. He's our Kundalini. He just turns out that way. Now, in the sky above us is written these stories of the Bible. It's the entire New Testament is basically from this particular point where this Venus gives birth to a little child that slips past the demon, slips past the king, slips past the devil, slips past whoever it is that wanted to kill him once they had heard that he was about to be born. And all these stories are like that, all of them. Whenever they found this out, he made it on up to God, made it on up into heaven, slipped past him. That means that person was strong, and she took off into the woods, right? This is where they stop the story. In reality, what happens is that, you are giving birth to this child through the virgin mind, which is what they're talking about. It didn't take him to make this baby. We had to put him down. And so that's what happens is this left side of us keeps knocking at the door, Sodom and Gomorrah story. And it just doesn't want you to go. It's that's how it kills the baby. It doesn't necessarily eat the baby. It's not like that, It's the concept of they're personifying these energies. This is what will happen. If you eat leavened or unleavened bread, if you eat leavened bread, even on the first day, no, you're not going to get it. That's feeding your baby to him. But, they tell you, you just have to come back later on and do it again. You just missed that first bus. The same way with those virgins. You have all these virgins, and they're all getting ready to go. They got 10 of them, well, 7 of them made it. But the idea is that there's 5. Those were 5. There were 5 good ones and 5 bad ones. 5 didn't make it. You got to have to wait. Go buy yourself some more juice. Get your go-go juice on, These are all these stories that once you finally close that door to the devil and you're no longer taking anything from him, you're no longer feeding from that particular side, that's the solar plexus where we have our beings from during the daytime or nighttime or whatever, when we're alive and awake and conscious. This is under the influence of Saturn. And so this influence from the planet. Yes, we are being influenced by these energies, all right? And so what you would do is you would then react in some ways that was not really, like something would happen and you're ready to hit, or, you're ready to see red, and stuff like that. And so what this does is that when we go up, this side shuts down. And it's mad, it's just absolutely angry. And so in the stories, this particular part, so there's this war in heaven. And Michael, the archangel, and his angels fights these guys. And the other guys, they didn't win. They had to be cast down. That shows how this method of cleaning out the inside is a type of kryptonite to this lower conscious energy that we are being fed from the outside world. Okay, this is how this works. Now, the business with what happens next. This has this grievous head. It has 7 heads. It's got 10 crowns. How many crowns does this thing have? It has 10 horns. It has 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on its heads. This is the lower mind. That's all this is. Later on in the story, it shows him rising up, and he has one grievous wound because of this first fight. They're going to probably go through this 7 times before he's finally over with, because they have to go. That's the way these stories work out. But his grievous head was restored. It's just how it works, because this is of the way the story works, and that you don't necessarily really die in these things. But when you give birth to this child and it makes it past the monster, then a great child is born who is going to take over this other side and is going to call it his own. It's going to leash it up, and then it's all his for for eternity, or till someone is cast out, until you have a hardened heart, and that hardened heart would seal this up for you, that you don't no longer get to do this anymore. So anyways, his tail drew up a third of the stars from heaven, and he did. After this war, they were cast down. So it's the same story as in Genesis, It's just that he and his buddies were thrown out, So let's see how this works out here. Chapter 12, and here's the first. We're going from the first. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Okay, that's one. This is describing you, all right? In meditation, oh wow. And besides, these are things that appeared in heaven, and that's in the skull, in your mind. This is what's describing this, what's going on during meditation, all right? The moon at her feet, the 12 stars. The 12 stars are the 12 constellations. These are at her head. They were claiming in these stories that this is to count Jupiter, who's coming in, and other little planets and things, the constellation Leo. They're putting all these together to create this number, and that's a lie. That's contrived, It's not the way that works, all right? Nibiru is coming in. Listen, just a little bit pushed. It's just, you just don't understand how far Christians want to go to bring their things alive. Even if it means killing us, But it's just like anxiety and bleeding into the confusion of the world, God is not an author of confusion. And remember, we always say this, that he has no time for low conscious behaviors. Absolutely none, Number 2. Number 2. And she, being with child, cried. She's travailing in birth and pained to be delivered. It's an introduction of her and this child. So there's your 2. All right. 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. This is the left side. This is the describing. And he's just ready to just, He's ready to just chomp on that baby whenever it happens. But it takes off. It makes off to heaven without him. And he says, oh my God. And then the fight happens and what have you. All right, here's 5. 4 is about the world. 4 is about our conscious, It says, and his hail drew the third part of the stars of the heavens, and did cast them upon the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. 5. And she brought forth the man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. That's number 5. The lambskin, we are the child. We are this sacrifice that is called up into us. So this is this is our spiritual side of us. This is the soul is called up into heaven. All right? 5. This 5 is our sacrifice. 6 years, the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, where she could feed there 1,000 to 100 to 60 days. That's a whole lot of noise, but really all that was making up was the number 3. 3 is that intervention where they all came together, because that's what that means. God has the child, and she fled to the wilderness, and it was a place that was prepared for her by God. She's later given wings of an eagle, so that she could fly between these two places all the time, any time she wants. Do you understand? That's all this Revelation 13 is about. It's, oh my goodness, it's the I know now where the gold is. I can now climb this tree anytime I want, and I'm not fearing anymore. That something's going to come down and take me anymore. I've taken and killed this. I've fought against this evil side of me, and I have lassoed it and bridled the beast, and now it does what I say in this time thing. So here's 7. And there was a great war in heaven. Michael and the angels set against the dragon, and the dragon fought with his angels. This is 7, talking about this is where the fight comes in. 8, and prevailed not, neither in their place found them any more in heaven. Neither was their place found in heaven. So 8, they cleaned up. There was no more going on. 8, they prevailed not. 9, and the great dragon was cast out, and the old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, was cast out unto the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. All right, and then 10, it says, and they heard of a great voice in heaven, now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ, and the accuser of our brethren has been cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. Now, I'm not going to go into more of that. That came by way of the Lamb of the blood of the Lamb of God, which is you. We're always finding out that it's about us, and that these other people are going out of their way to make it about something else, something supernatural, and something. These are cosmic things that are going on in the world, and God has put these things, put them in their courses. He says, we're kind of setting our course. If you don't know that you have a change, you can augment your future by just taking on the law, and then no longer are you on some crash course like they talk about with these planets. I believe that's how this is working, that you can just continue on in this death, this death march that goes from like waiting and waiting and waiting, and it tells you, in Luke here, it tells you that the coming of the kingdom of God has no observation. So these people that claim to be followers of Christ and believers in their Bible don't believe a damn thing about it, because this is what they're saying, and they're still looking for it. He's going to come in the clouds. Well, just because they describe what that means he's coming in the air. It means he's coming in what's called theta frequency. And this is when you have created this particular spot, when you've made it to 6, this is where nothing's going on. You've blacked out and you have detached yourself from the skin, That's all that means. Nothing's going on in your head, It's just a wonderful little idea that you could follow the story in this quick little line up here. This particular chapter has been feared for thousands and thousands of years, and it's a good story about what happens when we accomplish this particular phase of connection with God. And they make it into the most evil thing that could possibly happen. They're looking for the birth of the devil, some kind of antichrist, and now it's the Nibiru's coming in to kill us all, and it has a group of people on it that want to slave us and all that. All these stories are telling you that if you don't go up and learn to mine for gold, don't for the gods. Because that's what they mean, to go up, at the end of the road, at the end of the rainbow, there's a pot of gold, and that's God, all right? And you are silver, and we are turned to gold, and we're brought from brass, dirty. Get that dross cleaned off, and boom, there we go. Well, listen, I don't know how long this is going to stay on. I got 24 minutes. It's gonna take a long time to upload. But let's not worry about September 23rd. Maybe they'll birth something. Maybe there's something going on in the occult world, you know. Maybe they're giving birth to something, you know, something like that. We'll see if we'll just see what comes out of it all. But as for you guys, it's just a step in meditation. And when you actually get through, make it through to the other side, when that baby makes it all the way up there, you know, and he comes down crashing hard, and his father is your higher mind, cleans house. Anyways, I love you guys. Take care of yourselves, and I'll be with you tomorrow.